Good morning, maker friends. How are y'all doing this morning? I'm super excited you're here. Let's give everybody just a few minutes to join us this morning. Let me know while we're waiting. Are you watching us live today or are you catching it on a replay? Also, don't forget to let me know where you're joining us from. I'm not sure if you can hear outside or not, but y'all, I live in Panama City Beach, Florida. I live near one of the Air Force bases, and we have planes flying over all the time. So if you hear this weird noise in the background, that's exactly what that is. It's the sound of freedom. Okay, looks like we've got some people joining us now. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Kerri, and I run a YouTube channel called Mama Dares DIY. And y'all, I do a lot of fun and easy and creative things over there. So if that's the kind of stuff you're into, head on over there after today's live and check that out. I'm also on all of the other social media sites under the same name, Mama Dares DIY. Today I'm taking over a maker studio, and we're going to be playing around with one of my favorite things that Amy has come out with, and it is the Glacier Acrylic Resin. Y'all, this stuff is so much fun. It's a little bit different as far as the crafting mediums go. It takes a little bit of time to set up, but y'all, it is a lot of fun. Don't be scared of it. I know I was a little bit intimidated by it at first, but y'all, you can do this. The project I'm going to be sharing with you today is going to be upcycling a little bit, I guess you could call it, but not really. I've actually been working in my yard for the last couple of days. I've been trimming some palm trees back and stuff, and I was really inspired because the palm tree leaves are so beautiful. So you're probably going, oh my gosh, what are you going to do with palm tree leaves? Y'all, you've got to stick around to see it. So are you ready to get started? Let's hop onto the workspace now. Okay, y'all, here is our workspace, and I'll run over really quickly everything I'm going to be using today. So I've got my silicone mold tray. This came from a Maker Studio. I've got my parts A and B of our Maker Studio Amy Howard at Home Glacier Resin. I also like to use alcohol. I keep that on hand when I work with resin just in case I make a mess, which I usually do. I've also got a couple of plastic gloves. I've got a couple of popsicle sticks or tone depressors. I've also got a couple of silicone measuring cups. That just makes things super easy. You can also find these on your Maker Studio website. I'm also going to keep some toothpicks on hand in case I have any air bubbles that I want to go in and pop. This makes it super easy to do that. And y'all, for my project today, I'm going to be using a palm frond that I just trimmed off of one of my trees out of my yard. I've been doing some spring cleaning out there, and it was really just too pretty to throw in the trash. So I thought, I'll put this in my tray this morning. Okay, so when I'm working with these large molds especially, I like to put everything onto a cookie sheet. Just makes everything easy once you start working with several at a time. Makes it easy to transport them off and onto your workspace. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've measured my parts A and my part B into my silicone cups. And I'll give you some tips if you've never worked with resin before, because I have learned these the hard way, and I just like to pass on a few pro tips that I've learned along the way. So when you take your tops off, you want to make sure that you put parts B top back on part B. You also want to make sure you put parts A back on part A, because trust me, if you mix and mingle the two, you're going to have a mess on your hands. You don't want to mix those tops up. You can also take a paper towel, and two different paper towels. Don't use the same paper towel. You can take a paper towel and rub off the excess if you get any around the top. That's what your alcohol is used for. Okay, so let's put our gloves on. Now, when we're working with our resin, it's super important to measure equal parts. And like I said, I've done this beforehand. And one thing you're going to notice that the consistency of your two parts is going to be slightly different. Your part A is going to be thicker. Your part B is going to be just slightly thinner. So when I mix my parts together, I actually like to take my part B and pour that over into my part A. If you like to do it the other way, that is definitely possible, but just for me, I find it's easier, and it makes me make sure that I'm going to get all of my material out. So I started off for my first layer because I did this last night so it could have time to dry. I started off with 50 mLs of each one. So last night when I mixed this up, I definitely had a full measuring cup full. I actually ended up doing 2 layers just to be on the safe side. I want it to be super full. And look at me, I'm already making a mess. That's okay. I've got a paper towel. I do need to stick that back in my measuring cup. If you do again make a mess, just use your alcohol to clean that off. Now when you stir your resin, you don't want to use a whipping motion because that's going to create air bubbles, and that's one thing we don't want in our resin. So we're just going to use sort of like a stirring motion. And I've actually got one that I mix up ahead of time. I mix it up before we hop it on, because you do want to sit here and you want to stir this for around 3 to 4 minutes. You want to really make sure that it's incorporated. And the great thing is you're going to have usually about a 20 to 30 minute working window before it kind of starts to harden up. So don't think you've got to hurry up and do this super fast. You've got quite a bit of time before it's going to start setting up on you. So I'm just going to swap this one out for the one that I mixed up before we got started this morning. Okay, so here's the one that I've already mixed up before we got started. And I'll give you another tip. This is going to help making cleaning up your resin puffs a lot easier. Once you get your 2 parts mixed together, just take and pour both of those back into the other one. That way that chemical reaction is going to take place in both cups. And that way it's going to be easy to clean, because all you've got to do is to let this harden and then it pops right out. So it makes your cleanup super duper easy. And I will admit I have not tried this with the palm frond. This is just something that I've kind of been thinking would be super pretty. So y'all are my guinea pigs this morning. I guess that's why my channel is called Mama Dares to DIY, because y'all, I'm definitely not scared to try something new. Okay, also make sure that when you're stirring your resin, you want to keep those sides straight. You want to make sure that that chemical process is taking place throughout the entire cup. Okay, so my thought here is to just lay, if you're just now joining us, I will tell you that I've laid 1 layer down already. It's been about 12 hours, so it is hard. That way my leaf, when I put it in, it's not going to sink to the bottom. If I were to go ahead and just do this first without letting it dry, more than likely my leaf is going to sink to the very bottom, and I don't want that. I want the leaf to be encapsulated in between these 2 layers. So that's why we're doing it like this. You can probably get away with letting it harden for just about 8 hours, but I did it before I went to sleep last night, just so that it would be nice and dry. And I don't want to flood the whole thing. I just want to lay a really thin layer down, because I want something for my palm frond to stick to. It's probably going to be cupped a little bit on some of the edges, and I just want to make sure that they lay down. And again, y'all are my guinea pigs. I didn't try this beforehand. I know I'm going to have to take my scissors and trim off some of those edges, but I want to lay down the leaf first. And it's okay if the entire thing isn't covered. I just want to get the majority of it. Okay. There goes nothing, y'all. I think I want it to go a little bit sideways. these, and I don't want it to go all the way to the edge. So I can probably cut most of this part off. Why am I nervous? Oh my goodness, y'all, I hope it turned out. And I'm just going to take and press in my palm frond. Now I'll just cut off some of these excess pieces, because I do want them to sort of go to the edge. Whoops. Have y'all played with our acrylic resin yet? If you have, let me know what you've done down below. I just love hearing everybody's fantastic ideas. Close to the edge. I think this is going to turn out so pretty, and I can definitely see using my gold leaf on those edges. I think that's going to be super pretty, and I'm not going to be able to have time to finish it all on camera for y'all today, because this will have to harden, but I will give photos and I'll post them on the Maker Studio website. Make sure that everything is pushed down really well. Okay, I think we are ready to pour in the rest of our resin. What do you think about this? Isn't it going to look cool? Okay, here goes nothing. See the bubbles there? That's why I've got my little toothpicks. I'm probably going to have to mix up another smaller batch just to finish filling it in. because this is a pretty big mold. So now I'm just going to level it out a little bit. Okay, so let's swap this one out for the one that I've already got finished. Okay, now here is the one that I did beforehand. Y'all, it's not quite set up. I did get a chance to unmold it, but it's still a little bit flexible. We had a lot of humidity yesterday, so that did affect its curing time. So just know that sometimes it might need to set up a little bit longer than you anticipated. But isn't that amazing? I love this tray. Now I'll show you how I'm going to finish it off, even though I'm not going to be able to do that for us today. You'll at least get the idea of the look that I'm going for. So I've got 4 of these little wooden beads, and you could actually paint these with gold leaf or gold paint, or you could even gold leaf these. And I've also got some of my favorite shells that I picked up at the beach, and these are called olives. Aren't those beautiful? So my thought is I'm gonna paint these gold, and then I'm gonna use some of my resin to attach these to the bottom as little feet for our tray. And again, I can't do this today because this is not cured yet, but I want to at least unmold it so you can see the look. Whoops, whoops, we're chasing our little wooden beads. We're just going to let them roll. Okay, so once we unmold our tray, and I'll show you what I did at the edge of this one. So for this one, I actually sprinkled a little bit of sand from the beach around the edges. And doesn't that look cool? I'm probably going to go back and gold leaf these edges too, but that's something that I can do at a later date. But y'all, look how amazing that is. Isn't that fun? And you can see it is just a little bit flexible, so I don't want to leave it out of my mold for too long, but I do want you to see what I'm going for. So once this is totally dry, I'm going to mix up some more of my resin, and then I'll put some resin on the bottom of my shells, and actually that would look pretty like that too. And I'm just going to glue these olive shells onto my tray. I'm going to glue my wood feet under the bottom. And y'all, this is what our tray is going to look like. Isn't that fun? I'll be sure to post the pictures on the Maker Studio website when everything is done so that you can see the finished product. But I did want you to at least see the look that I was going for. So what do y'all think about this? Do you love it? What are you going to put inside your mold? Have you used our acrylic resin before? I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Okay, y'all, that does it for our video today. What do you think about our tray? I'm so ready for it to be dry. I'm a little bit impatient. That's the one thing about the Glacier Acrylic Resin that I've had to learn is to be patient. You've got to let everything dry and set up before you can finish your project. But y'all, that just means I'm having to learn a little bit of patience. What do you think about this project? What would you put inside your tray? Can you think of some things that you would love to encapsulate? I think this is such a fun project, and I cannot wait to do more of these. I've got to run for now, y'all. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Until next time, happy DIYing, y'all.